Hi, welcome to the first episode in our Brand Builders sessions. I am here today with Laura Meemken, the founder of All Clean Food. We're going to be talking with her today about her brand, about how she got started in this, her story, and what goals she has coming up. Thanks for being here, Laura.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here and to have you be a part of the market. And you and I have actually worked together for several months, like 6 months now or so. Yeah. So I love your brand. I'm going to give these guys just a quick little rundown of who you are and your bio, and then we'll kind of jump in. Sound good?
Great.
Okay, great. So Laura is a food entrepreneur, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a natural health advocate, which for me is very near and dear to my heart, and we'll talk more about sort of the connection that Laura and I have around this in a little bit, and a clean cooking enthusiast. So your family experienced true transformation after you moved to a clean eating lifestyle to support your children's food allergies. You went from surviving through sleepless nights, skin and stomach issues, and mood and emotional issues to thriving with energy, clarity, and a new sense of purpose. I think you and I have a lot to unpack there because I have, some similar stories around this. You have also had the honor of supporting others as a licensed marriage and family therapist, and only recently closing your practice to pursue your passions as a food entrepreneur, building out All Clean Food. During your time as a therapist, it became very clear to you that those who were willing to address their diet as part of their treatment plan improved immensely, often not needing long-term therapy. Also, lots to talk about here. I love this. After all, we need real food for a good mood.
So true.
Right? And you have witnessed and experienced the healing power of food, and you want everyone to experience this. And you're honored, I know you are, to provide products that make eating well easier for all people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that nice intro.
Yeah, thank you. So let's just talk a little bit more about your background and what led you up to this point to building out this brand.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so much, right?
Yeah.
So much goes into that journey, but like you said, I was working as a therapist for many years, and I really saw a huge connection between the way people were eating and the way people were feeling. So that's always something I've been passionate about, and it's always something that's been there. It's something I felt very strongly about. But it was taken to a completely different level when we started having kids, and we soon figured out that they had severe allergies. We figured it out because they were not thriving, and they had a lot of symptoms, eczema, and not sleeping, and not, gross motor milestones weren't really happening, not really rolling over when we thought they should, and sitting up and walking and things like that.
So how old were they when you figured out that there was an allergy? And did you know to check for that? Or did you have a doctor that advised that? Or how did that even, because I think that sometimes that isn't even something that is checked for.
So true. So it actually happened. So I had 2 children at the time. We have 3 now.
Yep.
But my youngest was a baby, and she was just oozing with eczema, and she was sick. And my mother's intuition was screaming at me something is wrong. And I thought it might be allergies. The doctors actually didn't think it was, and they didn't want to test. But she ended up having an anaphylactic reaction to an egg when she was 9 months old. And that was very scary. I mean, that was honestly traumatic. Right in front of us, all the symptoms of anaphylaxis, lips blue, the whole thing.
Right.
And so we figured that out and eventually got her properly diagnosed. And then we realized that our older one as well had some medium allergies, is what they were categorized as.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because we probably never would have tested her. We never would have, right? Like, she didn't have that many symptoms, upset tummies occasionally. But it's interesting because how many other people might have allergies and don't know it?
That's such an important point. And when you look at sort of all of the gut sensitivities, all of the skin issues, I mean, I even think like symptoms of, sort of like ADD, ADHD kind of stuff. Like what out of all of those is food allergies or food sensitivities part of the problem?
I totally agree. And it's tough because you don't want to necessarily send everybody into a panic and have people going out and getting tests they don't need, or put them through, their children through tests that they don't need. And yet it's a pretty simple thing to screen for. So maybe it is something that, especially when other issues come up, like you said, like ADHD,
Right.
unexplained skin or stomach issues, maybe this is something we should just make sure we're ruling out.
Yeah, wonderful.
Because I think it is more common than we think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I feel the same thing about mental health, that there's such a tie there. So you at the time, with your 2 kids at the time, when the allergies came, surfaced and you realized what was going on, you were a therapist at this time,
Yeah,
is that right?
that's right.
Yeah, and so you were working with people in a practice.
Yeah.
And did you work with people with their mental health around food? Did you try to talk with your patients about this?
Yeah, so I basically went to all the training I could and got some online certifications and all the certifications I could get for nutrition and mental health to help people. And when somebody comes into you in private practice, it's their journey, not yours. So I can't make everybody change the way they eat, but what I can do is provide some education around the topic.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing though, because the people who were like, yeah, I've been meaning to do this, I've been meaning to clean up my diet, or maybe, I think I do have a little bit of a wheat sensitivity, I've been meaning to remove this from my diet.
Yep.
People who made those types of changes, I'm not kidding, a lot of them would come back and say, I think I'm good. Like I'm kind of done. Like I feel great, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll call you if I need you, kind of thing. So it's really amazing to see.
Is this common in the mental health world? Are therapists regularly talking about nutrition as part of sort of a holistic path?
It's hard to say, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
not in their offices, but I think some probably are to an extent. But I think what we need to do as a mental health system is really look at what are we educating people on and take it to a deeper level.
Right.
Because we're not really looking at gut health, the possibility of inflammatory responses
Yes.
to food allergies or sensitivities. What we tend to do is just educate people about eating their veggies. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like throw some fruits and veggies into your diet.
Right.
But is that enough?
Right.
And if somebody's struggling with, a major depressive episode, throwing some carrots on their plate at lunch, I can tell you, is not
gonna
enough.
cut it?
It's not enough.
No.
They have to look at, are there things that my body is reacting to that are actually making me sick?
Right.
And what do I need to be eating to really, really support my brain?
Yeah.
Because we have to fuel our brain for it to work properly.
Exactly.
Which you know firsthand.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I tell this story a lot, but I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And first depression, then bipolar disorder, and was doing sort of all the traditional therapy routes, medications, talk therapy, and that helped to an extent.
Yeah.
But it never really got better.
Yes.
It was like I was able to sort of manage it, and then it would really flare up again, and then sort of like then they would change the meds or something, and manage it. And I finally hit a point where I said, that's it. Like enough is enough, and if I'm going to stay here, then I have to figure out a different way to do this. So I started doing a bunch of research on food and different supplements and brain health and what that really looked like. And I'll never forget the time I went into my psychiatrist's office with all of this research that I had done on sort of the effects of good fat. Very simple, like good fat on the brain and what that had. And he took that stack of papers and he slid that back across the desk towards me and said, I can't talk to you about that. But if you want to talk about changing your meds again, we can do that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I sort of continued down this road and really did start changing my diet, one of the first things I did was a 30-day cleanse. Right, which at the time I didn't understand what that meant, and it wasn't like juice cleanse or anything like that, but it was cutting out gluten and dairy and alcohol and caffeine and all the things that make your moods just spike. Game changer.
So even after 30 days, you noticed?
Even after 30 days, I noticed. And then I started with other supplementation and other things to use, and it's been over 10 years now that I've been medication free, and it's massively connected to what I put in my body.
Huge.
Yeah.
What a thing to celebrate too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We saw the same thing even with our baby at the time. So she, for like 2 weeks, was on kind of a elimination diet, I guess, where we were
Right.
kind of trying to rule out, what else is kind of impacting your system other than eggs.
Yep.
And she made it, when we figured it out, she made such a dramatic swing to the positive. And I remember we had a high school nanny, and she came over and she said, she's so happy today. Like she was like, you could immediately notice the change. It was like her eyes opened to the world. She was interested in the world around her. She was exploring.
How did that feel to you?
Oh my gosh, it makes me tear up just like remembering that time. It was incredible. And then the cool thing is, she recovered. So here as a baby, like her gross motor milestones were kind of on the late side.
Right.
And then she recovered, and she talked early, and she toilet trained early, and it was like she was making up for lost time. You know, like she had all this extra energy. So it was really incredible.
You know, so one of the things I think about is our general food system is not really set up to support people with issues like mine or like your daughters, right? And so what did you do? What did it look like for you guys as a family and you as a working mom to now start to think about food in this way?
Yeah, food in this way.
Yes. So we were a little stressed out there for a while because we were making a lot of changes, which is also emotional, you know, kind of adding and removing things can feel like a really emotional change for people. So there was that going on. But then just the amount of time it was taking us, because our grocery store in the area we lived at the time didn't have a lot of the things that we needed. We didn't have a local co-op close by or just as many options. So I was ordering things online. I was driving pretty far to go to a co-op or a Whole Foods or somewhere that, you know, had some different options for us. And it was just, I mean, we'd be cooking into, you know, the wee hours of the night, and I'm going, this is not going to be sustainable for us.
Yeah.
Over time, we got faster, we got better at it, we got better at meal planning. You know, we got it because there's a learning curve to everything. But I noticed at that time that, you know, we're really committed to this because honestly, we have to be. Our kids are sick if we don't stick to this.
Right.
But for people who don't have to stick to this, how are they going to do it, and why would they do it? If it's this hard, why would they do it? Why would they sacrifice their sleep, their time with their kids, their balance?
Right.
So at that time, I knew that, you know, this might be something that I could help out with. I could make an impact in this area by maybe creating some meal solutions that are easier for people.
So this is really where All Clean Food was birthed, is from this time. And you saw everything you guys had to put in on a day in, day out basis to put food on the table for your kids that was not going to make them sick, right?
Yeah.
And you wanted to come up with something that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's right.
So talk to us a little bit about All Clean Food and when that started and your products and well, let's start there. And then I have some questions about kind of like your mission and where you're...
Well, I started dabbling with my recipes in 2019, but we launched in early 2020 before the big shutdown.
You launched during basically the pandemic.
I did. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
that's incredible. And knowing you as well as I do, I know the successes that you've had and really the successes that you're just like about to have.
Yeah.
So there's a whole story there that we can kind of jump into, like really on the business side of this, but keep going.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, but when it came to creating a product that I thought would really, really help people, I wanted to make sure, number one, it's checking all the boxes. So it's organic, it's plant-based, it's free from the top 14 allergens, all of those things, because then more people around the table can eat it and you're not making separate meals for people. So there's that, but then also something super approachable and something you can just keep in your pantry, because that's something that wasn't in the stores. And, you know, cooking fresh as much as we possibly can is the way to go. And we need helpers. We need things that are ready to go on hand,
that
are
us
fast,
through the week.
that can get us through the week, especially when we don't have time to meal plan. We don't want to sit and cook on a Sunday. We want to spend time outside with our kids or, you know, whatever.
Totally.
So I wanted something that was really approachable and easy to cook and fast.
It's amazing. So you have 4 products right now. I know you're in development on some other things, but you have 4 products right now. Talk to us about each of them.
Yes, so we have a creamy garlic pasta, porcini mushroom pasta, savory Italian pasta, and a taco pasta.
I love this. And when you say pasta, I know that you're free from the top 14 allergens, so I know that it's not gluten that you're using. You're not using a wheat pasta. What are you using?
The pasta is made from organic quinoa and organic rice.
This is great. And so the way that these are designed, like this is really like a boxed meal solution, correct?
Absolutely.
And then do people add things to it? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, some people do just eat it plain and then it's just easy and they don't want to, you know, think about adding other things to it. I would recommend, though, this is a perfect opportunity to add a ton of plants, right? Add a ton of veggies, because the flavor of the pasta is so wonderful and so flavorful that you can throw in broccoli, asparagus tips, mushrooms. I mean, get creative, peppers, you name it, you know. For the taco pasta, do like a taco bar and add the lettuce and the tomatoes and the peppers and, you know, have fun with it.
This is great.
And so were these recipes that you really developed as you were doing all this cooking for your family?
I did. Yeah, I was trying to come up with things to make our meal nights faster. So I came up with some spice blends, essentially.
Right.
And kind of figured out pretty soon that, this is something that I think other people might enjoy. So I started kind of passing it around to anybody who would taste it, giving it to family and friends, and then they were requesting more. So I thought that seemed like a good sign, and we took it from there.
I love that. And so you launched officially kind of in 2020.
Yeah.
So what has that journey been like as a founder, building and launching a brand?
It's been incredible. It's been wonderful. It's been like a roller coaster, right, with tons of ups and downs.
Yeah.
And but I feel just so excited about it and so alive. It was interesting launching during the pandemic, and I think at first I thought it would be a bad thing, but we don't really ever know.
Right.
We don't know. And it was a year that people were really focused on their health and really focused at eating at home. So in a lot of ways, it was a blessing in disguise for us. I think the community piece was trickier in 2020,
right?
But that's why we do what we do at Brand Builders, and we connect with other brands, and it's been an incredible year.
Yeah, that's so good. I think that, for me, working with natural products brands, I have seen very similar themes for them, right? That the pandemic ended up being a lot of ways, good for them.
Yeah.
Because you're right, people really started putting a focus on their health. And I think that what the pandemic maybe made people realize is sort of the responsibility that they have for their own health, and also the power that they hold for their own health, right?
I love that.
Yeah. I think we as a society, there's some shifting that can happen around empowering people and not giving it away to a doctor or to a system or to a pill bottle. Right? All those things might be necessary and they can help you along the way, but there's so much we can do to empower ourselves.
I agree. I kept talking to my family and friends about, during this pandemic, what can we do to be the healthiest version of ourselves? Right. How can we empower ourselves?
Yeah.
Take a little extra vitamin C if you're feeling fearful. Eat really healthy. Get your body to the healthiest point it can be.
Right.
That's really all we could do. But absolutely, I agree with you. We can be empowered to do those kinds of things.
Yeah,
and they do make a difference. I think sometimes people feel like it doesn't make a difference unless I'm 100% perfect with my diet and I take my supplements every single day.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm certainly not perfect.
No.
I barely remember to take my supplements.
Yep.
We have a bunch for the kids. We randomly give them to them.
Yep.
But we all do our best, and all of those things add up and they make a difference.
They make a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
This is in it for the long haul, right? This is a long-term plan. And this isn't like, oh my God, I was bad today, so now I'm going to tank the whole thing, right?
I know, we tend to do that. We do this black and white thing with our eating.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more about how things changed for your family, right?
Yeah.
As you guys, and you and your husband, did you guys totally change the way that you ate when this happened with your kids? This became a family thing?
Definitely a family thing.
Yeah.
Through the process, I discovered that I too had a gluten sensitivity, which was something that I was kind of on the cusp of figuring it out, and then I got the proper testing.
Right.
My husband was honestly a little bit slower on the uptake.
Yeah.
He was like, "Wait, what?
I gotta change. I can't eat. What?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're taking away my normal bread that I like to make sandwiches with? No. But eventually, honestly, we just started creating such beautiful recipes that he was like, "Ooh, I really like this."
Yeah.
And then he wasn't heavy by any means, but he had put on a little bit of weight over the years. He took it off without even trying. He's like, "Okay, I like this. I like this new lifestyle."
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were both people that, we've had mental health ups and downs, like I think almost everybody has.
Right.
But honestly, we kind of felt like we're good. Like we're fine. We're going through life. We're feeling like fairly healthy people. But then when we made the changes, we were like, oh, we weren't healthy before.
Right.
Now we feel really good. I didn't realize that before I didn't feel that good. Like I would have an occasional day, I call it the day of doom, where it's like, I don't like my job, I don't like my house, I don't like my, you get that like doom, like that depressed mood. And I wasn't having that anymore. And I went, wow, this is definitely related to food.
This is so exciting for me. And I think that it's something maybe that isn't like fully talked about or understood yet, because I think as a culture, we are conditioned to think that things are healthy, are okay, are like being just okay is okay, right?
Yeah,
we don't, and so you don't, but until something changes, you don't notice it. I had very similar experiences, when I really changed my diet, started building in much more wellness practices, working on my stress, working on my inflammation response, and seeing what my day in, day out life looked like. and how I was able to meet the day in such a different way.
That is so true. And isn't it interesting? It's not like you still don't have ups and downs.
Of course not.
I mean, and all feelings are important and they give us information about our lives and we should welcome them in and listen to them, you know. But it's like it feels different than when you are not well because your body's inflamed and you're depressed and you're not motivated. It's a very, very different scenario.
You and your husband still eat this way today? Like this is maintained?
Yeah.
How did that shift sort of your social life and going out to eat or going to, you know, social gatherings? Did that change anything for you guys?
While it did, our kids over the years, their allergies have improved quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so it's not as that way as much anymore, but it used to be that we would bring a lot of our own food places. And honestly, too, sometimes it's just, you know, there's not as many options that I might eat at a family gathering just because I want to feel good tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I might not eat the pasta salad, the wheat pasta salad that this person brought, but this person brought a salad, so I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to eat a plain, you know, meat and not put a bun with it, or you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So we do that kind of a thing, and that works really well for us.
Yeah.
That's great. So, kind of going back to the brand, we're now in 2021. You know, you're not a baby brand anymore, and in fact, you have had some, you know, really big wins recently. So, what does the future look like for All Clean Food? What kind of goals do you have for the brand?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I want to do a lot with All Clean Food. I want to make healthy food like this that's free from the top 14 allergens really accessible for people.
Right.
So we have these 4 pasta SKUs, and right now we're in most of the local co-ops and health food stores, and we're going to be getting into Lunds & Byerly's, Hy-Vee, and Meijer this fall. So that's really exciting. Yes, thank you. So that's huge for us. That'll help with accessibility, definitely.
Yeah.
We're on Amazon and, of course, on our website.
Right.
But we're also going to be launching a couple really kid-friendly mac and cheeses this summer, which I'm really excited about because they're adorable, and I think the kids are going to love it.
But mac and cheese, right? Like
Right. Cheese-ish, right?
Yes.
It's not real cheese.
Yeah.
They're vegan.
Yeah.
They're free from the top 14 allergens, but they're so fun with cute little characters and storylines attached, and I think the kids are going to love it.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is so exciting. Do you see All Clean Food as a national brand at some point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And sold all over the place, right? Like not just natural food stores. Like this is, you want to make this accessible to all.
That is exactly right.
Yeah, I know you and I have very similar missions around that. It's part of why I do what I do. I believe in a food system that does not market poison, like as food, right? Yeah.
Well, and my hope is that creating a product like ours that's made from only real ingredients, there's no preservatives, there's no additives, there's no added sugar, there's no hidden ingredients.
Amazing.
It kind of shows that if a mom in her kitchen can create this and put it on a shelf, then we can all do a little better with what we're putting in the grocery stores, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
That's so good. Do you see yourself, Laura, kind of as an advocate in this space? What does your role look like as a founder, as the brand evolves? What does your role become?
I definitely do see it that way. I want to help people be healthier. It's really my mission in life is to help people feel good. That's why I became a therapist, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And eating well is a huge foundation for that. So helping people understand that when you go through the store, you know, shopping the perimeter is great. The things you put in your pantry, read those ingredient labels. And if you can't understand the words, or it's not a food word, don't buy it, right? If it's made in a lab, that's just not what our body is meant to eat and absorb. And I don't really think there's any bad foods. I don't like to think about food that way.
Right.
But the issue is when we eat things that are food-ish, right? Like look and smell like food, but really aren't really real food, then we don't leave enough room for high nutrient types of options. And then our brain misses out on those nutrients, and then all of a sudden kids aren't learning well, people aren't developing properly, sluggish, tired, depressed, anxious, you know? Those are the things that result.
I think that this is also a really important point because as the food industry has evolved, there's a lot more options on grocery store shelves. And there are a lot of brands that are really marketing themselves as natural, as healthy, as good for you. But I think when you take that closer look at the ingredients, you start to see.
Like, what does that mean exactly?
So, I mean, I know you pretty well at this point, and one of the characteristics that I would use to describe you is really authentic. I mean, and very integrous. And I think that comes through into your brand. Why is that important to you?
Well, I think we all deserve to know what's in the food we're eating. I mean, that's absolutely, base.
Yeah.
But also for families who have allergies, it's a huge, huge safety need.
Right.
So when brands are kind of using terms like artificial flavors, even natural flavors,
Yes.
that doesn't mean anything to a family that has a child with allergies because you don't know what that means.
Right.
Where are the natural flavors derived from? What is in this product, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't know what's in it, you could send your kid, you could give them an allergic reaction. And I've seen it happen I'm in a lot of allergy groups and stuff, support groups, stuff like that on Facebook. And I mean, people are having one reaction after the next, not knowing where it's coming from. And it's very sad to see.
Right.
So I think that we need to do a better job labeling our products and being really clear and really authentic and just clear about what we're actually putting in the food. Now, do I risk someone stealing my recipes? Maybe, but I believe I'm doing the right thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I want to go back to as you kind of started navigating this space, what help did you have from kind of the medical community or from what was already on shelf? Did you find that you kind of had to kind of blaze your own trail to figure a lot of this out, or were there some really good resources that you were able to lean on?
I felt pretty alone at the time, honestly. And there are some supports out there. I think things have gotten better than they were at that time. But at the time, I did feel like, okay, this doctor's not getting it. They're not quite listening to me or hearing me or understanding. This allergy was diagnosed, but she's still having reactions. So who can help me with the sensitivity piece? And not everybody believes that there even are food sensitivities, which we know is not true.
Right.
So yeah, it was something that I really felt like I had to blaze my own trail and do my own research, and I did, but I felt so empowered to do that.
Yeah.
And that process did really help empower me, and that's what I would hope for other people, that they feel empowered to seek out the information they need, seek out the help from professionals, other people they know who have gone through the process, and figure it out, because you can figure it out and it can get easier.
If you were to kind of talk to a mom going through just kind of starting out, what advice would you give her?
Oh my gosh. Well, first I would just want to give them a hug. And I have had moms call, because, a lot of families know my story, and my family members have told other people our story. And so sometimes I do talk to people who are going through this with their baby. Like, I think my kid has allergies. What now? Because it's great for us all to support one another in that process. But also just take one thing at a time, take a deep breath, and at what point can you get to a provider who can help you get the proper testing?
Yeah.
So for us, the proper testing was doing an IgE test for allergies and an IgG test for sensitivities.
And was this something that was handled through your regular doctor? Did you have to find a specialist to do this?
We saw a naturopathic doctor.
You did, okay.
Yep, and we paid for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was worth every penny.
It was worth every penny.
Every penny, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, great. Anything else that you would tell them?
Eat well. Eat good food. Know what's in the food you're eating. Only eat things that are very, very clearly labeled, and get lots of fruits and veggies in your kitchen. And the interesting thing too is allergies can end up being a blessing. It's really stressful in the beginning. I feel like there's sometimes a grieving period that parents go through because they're sad. They don't want their kid to have to feel different at the birthday party or whatever. I definitely went through that.
Yeah.
But in the end, now I have kids who have eaten every single fruit and veggie and natural food you can find, and they eat it all, and they have great appetites, and they're not picky, and so it's kind of when we remove some of the snackish, sugary options that kids oftentimes kind of gravitate towards, and really the option is, hey, that we're eating this whole foods diet. It kind of trains the kids to eat well.
That's amazing. So would you say that, do your kids, it sounds like they don't, but on a day in, day out basis, do they feel like they're being deprived of something?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. I think you told me this recently, but you're kind of the home where it's they come home from school, and what do you do? What do you have out for them?
A veggie plate.
Yeah.
And the neighbor kids come too. And it's great, right? Because when kids get off the bus, especially these hot days, they're hungry, and they want something nice and cold, and keep those veggies out. They'll eat them.
Right. Just have them prepped, have them out.
Right.
They'll pick them up, make it available.
Yep, exactly.
Isn't it funny, availability. So it's such a key thing, which again, this is why you're doing all clean food, right? This is all about availability.
and making it easy and quick.
Yes.
Because if it gets too complicated, people just end up throwing up their hands and feeling like, I can't do this. Maybe these other perfect people can do this, but I can't do this, when really nobody is, nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
But I think it can be very overwhelming. And so we want to help just it be really approachable and not overwhelming. Listen, this meal is going to take you 12 to 15 minutes tops. You can handle this.
Yeah.
Any cooking ability can handle it. Throw in some broccoli, you're good. And you can feel like a good mom, good dad, good grandpa, grandma, whatever, because you served your family this great meal.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love what you said about this being kind of a blessing, right? You don't feel it at the time. And we don't. When we go through these really hard things in our lives and these things that feel very disruptive and confusing and scary, it does not feel like a blessing when you're going through it. But I talk about my bipolar in the same way, that looking back on it and everything that I went through, for me, it absolutely is a blessing because it caused me to really take responsibility for my own life and my own health. And I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I hadn't gone through that, right? And if I didn't adjust and make the changes that I need to make in order to be healthy and be here, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And it led you to write that incredible book and share your message with others and create brand builders, and it's just such a good testament to the dark times in our life. We think they're so bad, and why is this happening to me, and why am I going through this? But there oftentimes is deeper meaning that comes out of it. Yeah. It's a good thing to remember.
You are one of the first brands in Brand Builders. We're in the middle of our first cohort right now. Tell me why you decided to join.
Yeah. Well, I was working with you before, and you were giving me all kinds of wonderful advice. And honestly, the biggest thing for me is I need to stay on board with Kate. I really do. You gave me you've connected me to incredible people, helped me network, helped me organize documents that I didn't even know I was supposed to have. It's sort of that feeling of I don't know what I don't know is you've helped me in so many areas. So that was a huge thing for me. And then this community, I was like, oh, this is so great. We're going to have this market together. I get to meet other brands. Yeah. We have events. We're supporting one another, right? Yeah. And then there's all these other cool perks. We're doing neat things with social media, having great conversations like we are today. Yep. There's just a lot of really great ways that we're getting our name out there. And so I really appreciate the program, and I appreciate your support.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's my honor, truly. And I love that you kind of talked about the community. This for sure is one of my favorite pieces of Brand Builders. I believe very strongly that Minnesota is poised to be the next natural foods hub in the country. Yes. And so the fact that we get to bring together founders, we do stuff with non-local founders too, but we've got a lot of local folks in the program. And so the fact that we get to bring you together and to me, there's so much more available to us when we come together.
I agree. Everybody comes with a different skill set, and absolutely.
Yeah. And I think about it too. I think we're going through this shift. For me, the way I think about it, that we're going through this shift in our planet, in our country for sure, where it is much more about collaboration than it is about competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. If you were to talk to another brand and tell them, in one sentence, what the benefit is of working with me and being a part of Brand Builders, what would you tell them?
I would tell them Kate's going to give you incredible mentorship. She's going to help you with an incredible network of people, and she's going to help connect you to this community of support that you really, really need to stay strong as an entrepreneur.
I love that. Is there anything else that you want us to know about All Clean Food or what's happening next for you guys?
Then we've got all kinds of fun things in the works. I mentioned we're launching some vegan mac and cheeses. We're going to be launching some incredible crunchy snacks. Yep. Hopefully this winter. I don't have an exact date, but that's in the works. That's coming, and those will be school safe and ready to go. And
awesome.
So we're just really excited for what we can do to help families, help keep things easy, convenient, and then allergen free.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for being here, and thank you for what you're doing. I think it's so important, and we need more people like you who are operating in this space and wanting to make it easier for those folks out there who want to eat healthier and live their life in a different way. So appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
I love it. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We were here talking with Laura Meemken, the founder of All Clean Food. And we are going to be doing this here live at Keg and Case every Thursday. We have 15 founders in our group right now, and you guys are going to get to meet all of them and hear their stories and hear about their missions and why they do what they do. So we'll see you at the next one.